Adjective for engine running at high speed. Let's consider that an engine has 4 states, as defined by what is happening to its speed, RPM, over time. Idling, running at a constant low speed, accelerating, throttle is being applied, the engine's RPM is increasing, throttle is still being applied, the engine is running steadily at the highest allowed RPM, decelerating, the throttle has been released, the engine's RPM is decreasing, eventually to return to idle. I can't come up with a word that describes that middle state. Some suggestions I have heard. Running doesn't work for me. I take running to mean having a non-zero RPM, so all 4 states are running. Under load. Better, although an engine running at the highest allowed speed doesn't have to be under any load. Consider a parked car with the accelerator held on the floor. Cruising, not general enough. This would work great for a plane or boat, but you couldn't describe a chainsaw running at top speed as cruising. There are probably phrases for what I want, such as running at high speed, but I want a single word that describes such a state. The best I can do is high, but that seems too vague to me. Context: I'm writing iPhone and Android apps to produce the sound of a chainsaw. In the code, I must keep track of the state of the chainsaw's engine so I know what to do next. For example, if we are in the accelerating state and the user releases the throttle button, transition to the decelerating state and play the corresponding sound. These words will not be used in the UI, but in my source code to describe the various states and sounds of the engine. Any suggestions?
For a single word which is specific to an engine which displays RPMs, cars, for example, usually don't provide direct control of the throttle. You are looking for the word redlining. The term expresses the notion of taking the engine to its maximum RPM, this region of the tachometer typically displaying its numbers and lines in red rather than white or some other neutral color. Redline, Merriam-Webster. A recommended safety limit, the fastest, farthest, or highest point or degree considered safe. Also, the red line which marks this point on a gauge. However, I would not use this to describe a tool like a chainsaw or lawnmower. Here, you have a throttle lever to control, and full throttle is the most appropriate term. Such tools typically do not have a tachometer to interact with, so the user's interaction is not with a gauge but with the control lever itself.
If you wanted to keep the gerundive form consistent, I would go with racing.
Revving is when your engine is running fast. In a manual transmission, it's a sign that you should move to a higher gear. In contrast, lugging, a much less common word, is trying to run faster but can't because the transmission is holding it back. It's a sign to move to a lower gear. Is full throttle the term you're looking for? Full throttle, going, acting, happening, etc., at full speed or with great intensity. Webster's New World College Dictionary.
It's not a single word answer unless you consider its acronym WOT, which is uncommon to hear outside of outboard enthusiasts, but wide open throttle is the first thing that came to mind. It certainly describes your situation, but I think I like at 42's racing or at Winnie Nicklaus's redlining better. Wikipedia. Wide open throttle, WOT, refers to an internal combustion engine's maximum intake of air and fuel that occurs when the throttle plates inside the carburetor or throttle body are wide open, providing the least resistance to the incoming air. In the case of an automobile, WOT is when the accelerator is depressed fully, sometimes referred to as flooring it.
Switch.